Hello booktube, hello book friends, welcome back to my channel and another video and another reading week video. What have I been reading this week? The week ending Saturday the 25th of October 2025. So 25/10/25. It's been an interesting week. If you've seen previous videos posted earlier this week, been thinking ahead to some reading events and challenges that are coming up. So the Read What You Own challenge starts in just over a week, and Dr. November starts next weekend, and also the John Irving reading event, reading the Cider House Rules and Queen Esther starts next weekend as well. I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. But what have I finished this week? I finished the ODESSA file by Frederick Forsyth. I was rereading this because there is a posthumous sequel coming out. I thought it was coming out this week, but my local bookshop says they haven't received their copies yet, so they'll let me know when because they're going to keep one for me when that comes in. But so I don't quite know what's happened. Maybe they've just had a delay in transit or something. But as I say, this was a reread. If you don't know the story, basically ODESSA is the possibly fictitious organization that helped Nazis, particularly members of the SS and Gestapo, escape from Germany at the end of the Second World War to avoid being brought to justice for the crimes and atrocities that they committed, with most of them going to South America, particularly Argentina and Chile. And this story starts with the death of a concentration camp survivor, indeed a suicide of a concentration camp survivor, and a journalist getting hold of the diaries and stories that he wrote about his time in a concentration camp in Riga in Latvia. And the journalist then sets out to track down the SS captain who was in charge of the camp in Riga, and to try and bring him to justice. It's quite a slow burn, I will say. I really didn't remember much about the book as other than the broad brushes of the story, but it is quite a slow burn, and for sort of, I think it's about 450 pages or so, 422. It takes a while to get going. It's well written and it's a good story and it keeps you engaged, but it does, the last 100 pages or so are probably where the bulk of the action takes place. So yeah, and of its time. So written in the 70s, I think, originally, but based in the 60s. Yeah, so written in 70, still published in 72, but most of it is based in like kind of 63 through to about 65. But yeah, if you're interested in you want a good slow-paced thriller, this is probably the book for you. If you want something that is a bit more all action and so on, then probably not the book for you. And then I've been continuing to read, and I think this will be a kind of recurring theme because it's going quite slowly at the moment. 20 Years After by Alexandre Dumas. So this is the story of the Three Musketeers 20 years after the original telling of the Three Musketeers. So the only musketeer who is still technically in the Musketeers is D'Artagnan. Porthos Athos and Aramis have all gone their separate ways and are now living out their lives in various places in France. This was originally serialized in one of the French magazines, so it's very much written kind of episodically, and that is, I think, that and the translation is slowing me down a bit, because the episodes, I think, are written to fit whatever was required for the magazine. So certain bits of the story are taking quite a long time to tell when really they could have been told in a lot less words. And also, I think some of the language of the translation is fairly close to the original. It hasn't been modernized at all, unlike some of the more popular Dumas, which so the Three Musketeers, the Count of Monte Cristo, the ones that I've read, are much more. The language has been modernized, so I'm enjoying it. It's a really good read. It's just I'm taking it slow. I think it's 800 pages, and I'm on page 190, so I'm coming up for a quarter of the way through. But yeah, in terms of the wider story, not quite sure what's going on. So obviously Cardinal Richelieu is no more. Milady de Winter is no more, at least for as far as I can tell at the moment. But yeah, there is clearly something going on in the background. There is tension around possible war with England, possible civil war. So it's set in that time period, and it's also the Four Musketeers. They're all still in the story. They're just doing different things, but it looks like D'Artagnan is determined to get the band back together again, shall we say? But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's just it's going to be a slow read for me, I think. But yeah, more on this in the coming weeks, I'm sure. So as I say, reading events coming up in November. We've got the Read What Your Own Challenge starting on the 5th. I've done a separate video to that, which I'll put a thing up for. And I'm going to do Read What You Own from the 5th of November to the 5th of March next year. We'll see how we get on. And then for most of the reading events coming up, I think I've got all the books that I need. So that's kind of why I'm doing it in a way. There probably will be books for things like Shelf Talkers, the event that I do, the series that I'm doing with MJ from Reading This Life, but other reading events coming up in November in particular. We'll be reading the Cider House Rules, and I will link to my co-hosts down below. But the plan is John Irving has a sequel coming out to the Cider House Rules in November, called Queen Esther. But the plan is to reread for most of us the Cider House Rules in November, and then read Queen Esther in December, which basically gives people a chance to get hold of Queen Esther or reserve it at the library or whatever, so that they have it for December. There's still opportunity to join. We have a Voxer chat group set up where we'll be talking about the two books one after the other. The plan is to kind of read approximately a quarter of the Cider House Rules each week, and then probably do the same for Queen Esther in December. So they should finish the book over the course of the month, and then chat about that part of the book in that week as we go. If you want to join, my Voxer ID is down in the video description as always. So do send me a message and I can add you to that group. So Cider House Rules in November, Queen Esther in December. And then starting in November as well, also a co-host for Dr. November, where we will be reading spy fiction, books on espionage, both fiction and non-fiction. I've published this week a list of potential non-fiction books. There is also one for fiction, and there is a playlist which I'll put in the description for Dr. November, and also link to my wonderful co-hosts for that event as well. So I'll be reading books like A Spy Alone by Charles Beaumont, amongst many others. I think I seem to have more. I've definitely got more books than I can possibly read for Dr. November in November. But we'll see how we get on. And obviously with the Read What You Own challenge, they're all going to be books that I already own. And that, I think, is it for now, for this week at least. So what have you been reading this week? Let me know in the comments, and I will speak to you again next time. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Bye-bye.